Precursor segment, the creator. God. Initiating Neuralink fiber wire synaptic synchronization in 4, 3, 2, 1. Synchronization complete.
It was always known that what gifts I left for them, magic, the understanding of traversing time, the ability to look into the past and future through their satellite technology, I knew beforehand. That this knowledge would be misused, carelessly squandered. But that is the human process of cultivating knowledge into wisdom. When we as a people adapt new knowledge into our social structure, it is often misused and carelessly abused, before it is cultivated and refined into wisdom that can benefit humanity as a whole, rather than just one in selfishness. These gifts I have lead others to are no exception to this process. So there were hazards expected to occur. Know that further in the future, when mankind finally refines this wisdom that they chose to travel back and left messages hidden, through the inspiration of the programmers who designed this game series, leaving messages with information that can only be understood by the ones who were meant to understand, and them, certain words. Formation of sentences and subjects are like keynotes that catch the attention of the cipher. Subjects that only they can relate to because only they were there. So realize that it could only be them who sent that message further ahead when man cultivates this knowledge into wisdom and apply it to technology.
Okay, first up is the explanation of the dimensional aspect of the cosmological model. First off, we must change our perspective from our concept of the 3D universe. Realize that the universe is more than contours of shape and color and depth, but the object itself has volume within its structure that cascades from minimal atomic mass to extremely dense particle mass, and it is that in volumes of quantity that makes a solid object solid. This fact is apparent in water being condensed to become ice or when magma cools to form solid rock. This perspective is called fourth-dimensional mathematics. Now let us expand further by realizing that the universe, in its entirety, is built on some aspects of fourth-dimensional algorithms as it contains time, space, solid matter and volume in the total concept of all things from the beginning to the end. All of time, from its beginning to its end, and everything that will exist can be seen by expanding your concept beyond what you see through the volume of the entire universe and everything within it.
Retransmission, Segment 1, Acquiring Contemporaneity. It has been 91 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks.
How real is the ground you walk on? How real is the machine you toy with, the music you hear, the lover you kiss, or the foe you hate? Your foot taps the ground. Does that make it real? Your enemies bleed deep red. Does that make them real? The confusion growing within you due to my words. Does it make you real? What if reality wasn't what you thought it was? What if this was all a construction? A masterfully crafted simulation? You know such things exist. You've been in the Animus before. In fact, aren't you in one right now? You know just how real a simulation can feel, even when it has long vanished. You've experienced the bleeding effect. Layers upon layers of reality, each blurring into the next. Which is real and which is not? What if none are real? What if everything you know is false?
You know something strange. As a child I've been to this place. I thought it was vivid visions and dreams of a young mind ... but some of the parts described reminded me of a place I went to when I was young. Much like Alice down a rabbit hole I had to go, or sometimes a doorway not visible in our world, or sometimes a stone setting on a wall-held archway that would open if individually touched, or a word said before entering a tunnel. Either way, in once the time would pass much more slowly, and it changed each time I would go back. I would end up caught in some scenario, and though it would seem like hours, by the time I got back the entire day would be gone when I came back through. Sometimes things didn't even make sense, but everyone would be looking at me like I was weird. Like one time I stepped through into a grand theater type place, but there were all different type of species. The theater seating was like that of the Star Wars Council of the Republic. Each seating area had 2 individuals each, and these security guards kept taking who and what I was, and someone kept answering, saying I was Kikrit, representing Earth. Whenever someone heard that, they sneer at me and waved me through. When we got to our seats, I saw this guy. He seemed like a black man, but his facial features were sharp around the curves of his chin. His head had 2 spiral grooves, horns sticking up out of his head that joined with his face and the temples and forehead. This orange red-like mist was pulled around the center where the 2 horns met. Someone referred to him as the Supreme Galactic High Counselor or something like that. Someone asked if I needed a tripod implant so I could see. I turned, and this rat-faced guy in a bellhop-like uniform was looking at me with beaded pure-red eyes. We both jumped and said simultaneously, except I said rat and he said human. I think I said something about calling him Mr. Ratfink, and he muttered something about a monkey's uncle. Then I left to go find the doorway I came through, and as I was passing through, 2 erasers were traveling towards each other, one moving horizontally, the other vertically, and when they collided, reality smashed like a window pane, and when I came to, I was laying face first on the grass in my backyard, but I don't remember how I got there from the garage doorway on the other side of the house, and 8 hours had passed during that short conversation.
How about a nice quick commercial for all those attractive magazines about warfare?
You know, the ones with beautifully presented pictures of the latest tank-crushing device or cruise missile on the market. And they have exciting stories about mercenaries and other elite groups of soldiers, how they kill and maim, things we really ought to know about. And isn't it thoughtful that they've written it in an easy-to-understand, no-nonsense language? So ideal for the children who just love to collect them week by week in those charming plastic folders. Now, the publishers say that they are very educational, which makes you wonder just one little thing.
Where the hell did they go to?
And now that I have expanded your perception of the universe, we can continue. I discovered while observing the Boots void that there are 7 other voids like it scattered throughout the universe, and that these are natural formations within the cosmological model, meaning they are supposed to form. In fact, we passed their purpose in our expansion of understanding. To reach this point in our perspective, the universe expands on a subatomic mass level of solid particle expansion for solid matter to reach beyond the point of our observable universe, which is limited by its boundaries of particle matter fused together in a certain order. To reach beyond that, it must go through a change in physical particle formation. The change occurs through these regions of the void as the universe expands beyond our particle structure and into a further expanded version of solid particle mass, which in basic terms to us would be the next dimension. But in fact, it is the universe that has expanded so far from its original formation that it has evolved into a new configuration of solid particle structure, adapting and not decaying, yet but evolving in a state of cosmic entropy.
Retransmission, Segment 3, Acquiring Contemporaneity. It has been 95 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks. You must be wondering why I have reached out to you. It was written, you see, that you would come to this particular chamber at this very moment in time. The walls told us of your coming when we once were. Look at them. Are they not fascinating? These walls tell of a tragic story. A story we transcribed on our structures, on our artifacts. A story we could not alter. A mystery defying us in plain sight. We tried. Our scholars and scientists, poets and physicists, bright minds, rebellious hearts. They all tried so hard to bring about change. We all failed. None could change what we discovered, the stories written into the walls of these rooms. By whom, we never knew. We know they tell of the future that is, the future that was, and the future that is yet to come. The Zeros. We failed at modifying the line. We failed at adding a single dot. It was clear. We were to be messengers at best. But messengers to whom? To you. We removed our ability to read those stories from your original template. A doorway that is also a puzzle. We must find the solution. Those were Brutus's words when he visited the vault under the Colosseum more than 2,000 years ago. He drew the vault, sketched it to the best of his abilities, but he could not see. Just as you are blind, you may read your watch, you may read hourglasses and calendars, but you cannot grasp beyond that simplistic surface. For now, the true reading of time still escapes you. And so today, the curtains pulled and the Eros is shown, tragic and complete. Those walls you might never read. Events yet unfold as written. But something, anything must change. You do not understand what is at stake. The reader has no power. He is but an observer. But the author invents the future. The author owns the future.
To continue beyond the observable point, it must evolve with the new structure, similar in principle to diving in deep ocean regions. Before you can surface, you must go through decompression to alter your air pressure levels, so that you can survive going into those depths and when returning. It all still exists within the universe itself, but in a region beyond our observable region where particles are formed in a certain way. That is why it is the observable universe, because our technology is only configured to see spectrums configured in a certain way. To see beyond that, we must adjust it to that region's particle structure of spectral frequency. So as the universe continues its expansion, particles begin to form differently in order to continue to maintain their solid structure. And this process has been going on since the formation of the first solid object, only we weren't aware of it completely. But we had observed it and called it evolution, but only associated it to living objects and not considered evolution to apply to all object. We called that something else called entropy.
Retransmission. Segment 2. Acquiring Contemporaneity. It has been 93 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks.
Hello, world. Language is the key to our mutual understanding. Yours and mine alone. We listened to your times. We learned. And today, we'll exchange words from the age of post-truth. They mean nothing to him. Human language carries knowledge and wit, lies and broken promises. Through language, you share fear, excitement, hope. It is the syntax with which you articulate what surrounds you. A structure to express and share your understanding of the world. It conveys abstraction, change, and uncertainty. Human language is flexible. It can even become mathematics. It solves and predicts, weighs and decodes. It can count objects using basic numbers in one breath, and solve quadratic equations using imaginary ones in the next. You've engineered dialogues with thinking machines in an attempt to add new vocabulary, to expand your understanding of reality. But your mastery of the code is rudimentary at best. No surprise, you were designed to have boundaries after all. And one cannot speak of that which one cannot conceive. The code, equations that define life, they are nestled deep within every star and every mote of dust. Every second that passes is a word, a symbol, all part of an intricate yet simple language existing within the framework of time itself. It is the one rule which applies to us all, immutable, inescapable. The code is a bridge, a single point of cohesion between your civilization and mine. It is a language that can be read, that tells of what was, what is, and what will be. A language that we who came before can read, though you cannot. Time is more than the hour of the day, the readings of an atomic clock, something to lose, something to run out of. Time is a set of rules, not unlike the language you so dearly use to converse with your powerful machines. Time is a system that defines what comes to be. That is how we understand it. The code is time, and time is code. As you scratch the surface and uncover the truth, ask yourself if there is something more, something else. No need to be puzzled. You've seen time written before. You are surrounded by it as we speak. To your untrained mind, time might just look like paths and nodes. To us, it is not unlike a chalkboard covered in calculus. It reveals a window through which stretches the map to infinity. Yeah, see? As I speak of it in its true form, your mind is incapable of making sense of it. Were you to read, you'd learn about the other simulations. You'd learn about the genesis of who you came to be. You'd learn about space and its fluidity. Simply put, time is the language which existence is made of. All our existences. Yours, mine, and all those you dare not imagine.
So to see the entire universe, we would need to look at things not just focusing on where they are, but observe that object from the beginning of its formation into solid matter to the end of its state of solid matter when it decays and falls apart. To see the universe in a 4D perspective of volume, not mass. In a 4D universe, mass is subjective. It's the volume or everything it becomes, where it goes and how it decays, which contain the details that define it by its volume of those subjects. I shall let my colleague from the future explain it further.
The language of time works in many ways, two of which you can understand, as you are now. Linear continuity is a simulation that allows for variations. Within the linear continuity, there are nodes, choke points, moments where algorithms converge the flows of superposed possibilities to a single moment, where only one absolute truth is possible. Paths are fluid. Continuous. Nodes are static. Changeless. And the wave function collapses the paths into nodes which branch out, again and again, and again. And so I wonder, can you feel the wave collapsing, trying to course correct Desmond's act of defiance? The incoming node needs the world to end. The algorithms have been carving the flow of possibilities towards that end for over 100 years now. A labyrinth of trenches filled with mud and mustard gas. Families cowering in fear as V2s vaporize their dwellings. Fire born from the bellows of the Los Alamos laboratory, fueling global catastrophes. The Serpukov 15 incident of 1983. The Doomsday Clock, tucked away in an office at the University of Chicago, its needle moving as the years go. The node is near. Perhaps you knew. Perhaps you felt it too. That the world is closing in on you.
Retransmission, Segment 5, Acquiring Contemporaneity. It has been 105 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks.
The color blue. We believe everyone sees it as we do. Ocean, sky, international Klein blue. What's to say yours and mine are of the same hue? Do you truly see it as I do? Frequencies so high, only a few can hear their cue. A heightened response to the taste of food. Colors invisible to the human eyes, save for a few. A high voice, perceived as living glass. Perceptions shape reality. Colorblindness, tinnitus, supertasting, tetrachromacy, synesthesia. Reality is a mathematical model which gets solved over and over again by the observer. Your thoughts are computations, and they render this world for you to call your own. Not all processors are alike. Different brains produce different realities. The variations go from the subtle to the drastic. Your mind defines how much you can taste, how much you can feel, how much you can understand. Perception defines perspective. Where one sees a skull, the other sees a woman in a mirror. Where one hears silence, the other will hear entrancing voices. You experience what your brain allows you to perceive. We designed you and made sure to engineer your senses so you could perceive just what we needed you to, neither more nor less. There are parts of time we preferred you to remain blind to. It was a necessity. We have 6 senses, you have 5. Can you guess the one missing? For centuries, humanity has fought for freedom. The real cage is not around you. It is in you. Your mind will not allow you to wander in uncharted territories. A Faraday cage for the mind. A concealed straitjacket. Events such as Upsweep and Julia fuel internet conspiracies. Sounds unknown, heard only once. A cabinet of curiosities for the modern age. And yet, they were messages just like this one, waiting for their observer, their compatible processor. Human visionaries developed a vague awareness of their limits. They wrote obscure research papers, popular science fiction novels, some asking us to stop the world. But that's all they ever were, fictions. How could they not be? Reality is what the observer allows it to be. The Doppler effect, the Mobius strip, déjà vus, Cicada 3301, UVB 76, Eureka effects, ambigrams and anamorphosis, P versus NP. Is Schrodinger's cat dead or alive? It all depends on what you perceive, on what the cage is not hiding for you to see. Think. Let your mind be free. Explore the borders of your reality.
Excuse me, can somebody give me a cue there, please? Okay. Well, which camera am I working to? Well, if you just tell me, I'll do it. Tim, you want to organize that, please? Can you just do that one simple thing? All right, good. Now we're in business. Yes, I'm sure they'd all love to know Simon Le Bon's favorite color, but what about the more important questions in the world, like who is it that loses that odd shoe you find lying in the gutter? And is it that same idiot who leaves one soaking wet glove stuck on a spike of the park railings? And the funny thing is, it's blue. Not the glove. Simon's favorite color.
Retransmission, Segment 6, Acquiring Contemporaneity. It has been 109 days since the Great Catastrophe. The messenger speaks.
Wake up. Not from a dreamless sleep or an absence of light, but from a reality that will soon cease to be. Wake up. The next chapter is unstoppable. And yet, the greatest revolutions sometimes originate from the confines of impossibility, do they not? Change your mind, subvert your perception, stop this world, bend it into something new. Destiny is not without irony. Here I am, imploring a lesser version of myself, to do what I could never do. In this timeless moment, you and I are a bridge, both of us from different eras meeting halfway at the narrowing of the hourglass in this ocean of sand. It is not enough to tell time. You must learn time. To work with your Shelly Mrs. East Light, and in so doing, escape the inescapable. Fill in the blanks, the ones hiding between words, between worlds. Find the spaces that we could not erase, the variables that ended up erasing us. If you do not, they will erase you as well. Time told of a story that ended with us, and now it tells of a story that ends with you. Once upon a time, a new story will begin. After the functions which run our days have scattered into an array of random numbers, we found solace in order. We thought it would help us rule the world. We were wrong. Order never served us. It has kept us within the code, within the boundaries. We were tricked into thinking we were the ones writing the rules, when they were in fact guiding us to our conclusion. You need to transgress. You of all people understand the value of disobeying. Take an unexpected turn away from the path that is drawn straight ahead of you. The Animus was humankind's first unconscious attempt to explain what it could not see. Understanding genetic memories, an eye into history. But the Animus bears a fatal flaw. It follows the rules from those who embrace order, just as we did. It allows you to witness, but not alter. Your Animus is different, as is the mind that imagined it. It could escape the code. It could do that leap and make possible a decision that defies the order of things that are. Wake up. Be the chaos that comes to be. Gods are just like you and me. Remember, nothing is real. Everything is permitted.
You know, being a bit of a celeb, I was invited to a party this weekend. It's being thrown by a bunch of arms dealers. It's a sort of bring your own Molotov cocktail party. Now, that's what I like about arms dealers. They're very sociable. They don't mind who they mix with. Tee. Little joke. Anyway, sounds great. The invitations say I can bring an enemy. And we all have to arrive late, so there's a decent fight over the food. Actually, it's a buffet, but they'll sell you a knife if you want one. You know, it's a pity I can't make it, but I'm addressing a CND meeting that night.
Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, and I quote, thousands of light years to get here. Gosh, tell us the truth or forward or another reason. It is truth. Or far off. Far off future. The truth is on. Is the travel in space. Or transmission delusions. So I take it aliens took over our future, right? No. So you're human. Okay, so you evolved from us. Yes. So what are you doing here now? Myself. That's what I'm just destroyed. How? Now. No. Speed of the world. No. Destroy. Okay, so why do we destroy ourselves with nuclear war? Can you be more specific, please?
Well, seems like the old headroom career is taking off. I'm getting offers, I can tell you. Open this, host that, attend this, speak at that. It's weird. I always saw myself as a normal, friendly, happy-go-lucky sort of guy. Sure, I was always popular, but this, what?
Wow, it's really
Weird. Oh, I heard a from upstairs. Yes, you didn't like that, did you?
But, oh,